Next lecture by Dr. Ramesh Babu. Dr. Ramesh is Chief of Cardiology in Medwin Hospital, Hyderabad. He will be speaking on DES versus BMS in acute MI. This is always a controversial thing, and people have their own opinion about using DES, advantage of DES versus BMS. Dr. Ramesh Babu is going to clarify on this issue.
Thanks, Dr. P.C. Rath and Dr. Sheshagiri. My topic for the next 10 minutes will be the drug-eluting stents versus bare metal stents in acute MI. I'm honored to be speaking just before Martin Leon, and I'll be quoting extensively from their publications. This is the review article which has been published in the year 2009 from JACC. The use of drug-eluting stents in acute MI, again from Marty's group. They have reviewed 13 randomized trials and 18 registries, roughly around 28,000 patients. 13 randomized trials, around 13 patients, and around 18 registries, around 20 patients, altogether around 30 patients. What does the literature say? DES and acute MI meta-analysis, as far as the mortality is concerned, there is no significant difference between the DES and the BMS. Among these 13 studies, most of them are single-center studies, except the Horizons MI study, which was probably done in 45 centers, and the multi-strategy study and the Typhoon. So the majority of the information has come from the Horizons MI study. And myocardial infarction. Again, there is no statistical difference between the DES and the BMS. The only thing which has shown a great difference is a target vessel revascularization. There is a 56% relative reduction. But hold on for a minute. The absolute risk reduction is around 17%. What does that mean? We'll come to that a minute later. The stent thrombosis, again, there's no great difference. There's no statistical difference between the DES and the BMS. As I said before, there's a relative risk reduction of 56%, but the absolute risk reduction is 7%. What it means is the absolute risk reduction is the number needed to treat. The NNT is 1 by RD. So if the absolute reduction is 7%, the number needed to treat is 13 or 14. That means you treat 14 patients with a DES, you'll be preventing one revascularization, repeat revascularization. So there's no difference in the death, there's no difference in the MI, there's no difference in the subacute thrombosis. The only difference we found was the reduction of revascularization, but at the same time, you put in 14 DES, you'll be preventing one revascularization. The treatment benefit and the baseline risk. In those patients where if you put in a bare metal stent, where you find the restenosis rate is high, in that subset of patients, DES works better. So for example, if the bare metal stent, the risk is 30%, and if you put in a DES, the risk reduction will be more than 20%. So the benefit of DES is greater in patients at higher risk of restenosis, which I'll come to that a little later. And Horizons AMI study, as Dr. Sarachandra has mentioned, is two-factored, comparing DES versus bare metal stent, and also bivalirudin versus the conventional therapy. And what did it show? Again, the ischemic target lesion revascularization, there is a 58% risk reduction at the end of 2 years. And the mortality, there's no difference between the BMS and the DES. The same thing, the subacute thrombosis or the late thrombosis, again the same at the end of 2 years. So the Horizons AMI study, which is the largest study, has shown the same effects as the 13 studies put together. No change in the total mortality, no change in the acute MI, no change in the subacute or late thrombosis. The only difference was The only difference was reduction in the target lesion revascularization. Coming to the other subset of patients we have, I was referring to the 18 registries which compared DES versus BMS, the one which probably caught the attention of the public was the GRACE registry, which showed an increased late mortality with the DES versus BMS, and which suggests that DES should probably avoid it in STMI until more long-term data became available. This is the one which really raised the commotion, whether we should use DES in acute MI. And in this particular study, for example, in those patients with ST elevation MI, you see the data in yellow, there's a significantly increased rate of 2-year mortality those patients who received DES. And slightly in the overall group also, there's slight increased mortality, but this was drastically increased in the ST elevation MI group. Based upon these recommendations, with the, again I want to emphasize a little further. Among the 18 registries, what we found in the GRACE registry was not found. So the 18 registries all put together also showed the same mortality. There's no difference between the DES and the BMS. There's no difference in the MI. There's no difference in the subacute and late thrombosis. There's a relative risk reduction. And GRACE registry was an outliner. So with the consensus available as on 2009, the ACC-AHA guidelines, what the position statement says, it's reasonable to use a DES as an alternative to BMS for primary PCI in ST elevation MI. Consideration should include the ability of the patients to comply with prolonged dual antiplatelet therapy, the bleeding risk in patients undergoing chronic oral anticoagulation, and possibly the possibility that the patient may need surgery during the ensuing year. This is Class 2A indication. Class 2B, the DES may be considered for clinical and anatomic settings in which the efficacy safety profile appears favorable. Small vessels, long lesions, or insulin requiring diabetes mellitus, the level of evidence is B. What does the European Society of Cardiology guidelines say? In spite of the GRACE results, the DES with proven efficacy should be considered by default in nearly all clinical conditions and lesion subsets, except if there are concerns or contraindications for prolonged DAPT, dual antiplatelet therapy. Relative clinical contraindications for DES, clinical history difficult to obtain, especially in the sense of acute severe clinical conditions, ST elevation MI, cardiogenic shock, when you cannot get a genuine correct data sometimes about the past history, which can lead to a bleeding complications or potential future surgery in the first year. One should be careful in using DES. We have some data which has been published last month, long-term 3 to 5 years follow-up DES versus BMS in acute MI. Again, the same 13 studies I was referring to, and with Horizon's AMI study, we have 3-year data, and again which tells there's no mortality benefit for DES in acute MI. There's no difference in the stent thrombosis between both the groups at the end of 3 years, and the only significant difference was a target vessel revascularization, where there's significant benefit. Coming again to the conclusion, should all patients with ST elevation MI receive DES? The multivariate predictors of 12-month ischemic target lesion revascularization among patients randomized to BMS. Insulin-treated diabetes, 0.1, baseline reference vessel diameter less than 3 millimeters, and the total lesion length more than 30 millimeters. If you give 1 point, those patients who have a high score, the last bar diagrams there is a significant difference in the restenosis rate. But in the low score group, on the intermediate score group, the difference is not very significant, especially in the low score group. So in those patients who have an intermediate or a high score based upon the diabetes, long lesion, small diameter, you can risk stratify those patients who can probably benefit from DES. And again, the ischemic target lesion revascularization at the end of 12 months, again, the low score group, there's no difference between the BMS and the DES. Only in the high risk category, there's a significant difference. So I think we should limit the usage of DES to the high risk category, and in the low risk and the intermediate category, probably you should use your judgment. Last week, in fact a couple of days back, there's a very interesting economic analysis. Clinical and economic outcomes of a liberal versus selective drug-eluting stents usage. This data is not limited to the acute MI setting. This is the broader category of patients. The event registry analysis comparing DES versus, comparing DES using 10,000 patients before an FDA safety advisory was issued in January 2007. The rate of DES fell from 92% to 68% after the FDA advisory. The clinical outcomes remained similar with the exception of TLR, which increased by 1% in the selective era. Selective era means you give a DES to those selected group of patients, whereas in the previous group you are using for everyone. The cardiovascular cost decreased by $400 per patient in the selective era, translating to a healthcare savings of $400 million per year in the United States. The implications: reduction in DES use was associated with a total increase in TLR and a modest reduction in the total cardiovascular deaths. This is supposed to be published next month. One more article again, the impact of new cardiovascular device technology on the healthcare costs. DES-related costs analyzed in 1.98 million Medicare beneficiaries with CAD from 2002 to 2006. Each 1% increase in DES use translated to mean per patient cost of so-and-so dollars, but the overall cost increase for all CAD patients attributable to DES was around $1.5 billion. The fraction of DES cost attributable to stable patients was disproportionately large. So the implications are the introduction of DES in 2003 substantially increased the cost for Medicare beneficiaries with CAD. Again, my last slide conclude, stent selection decisions may be optimized based on individual risk. Patients with ST elevation MI at high risk for restenosis after stenting may be identified in whom DES are clearly beneficial. The selection of stent type for patients at intermediate low risk for TLR after BMS should be individualized. Thank you.
This is very clear from the presentation of Dr. Ramesh that use of DES doesn't give you the mortality benefit in acute MI, only the chance of revascularization decreases. And he was very clear, and he pointed out very clearly that it should be restricted to patients with high score, specifically patients with long-term diabetes, long lesions, small vessels, small diameter vessels. I think if you look at India, the scenario is majority of the patients' decision is made on the economic criteria more than any other criteria. When the patient comes with acute MI, we decide depending on his financial status. But then I think in a situation like proximal LAD, long diabetes, small vessels, I think we should encourage the patient to go for DES. And many of the patients can be treated with VMS with this equally good result. And these are large vessel distal lesions and non-diabetic. I think we could give them the give the choice of using the BMS. If you have any questions, please go ahead and ask. I think Dr. Ramesh will be happy to answer.
One comment. Actually, today now the treatment of acute MI depends on the morphological pathology of the lesion. What happens is plaque rupture with vulnerable plaque. Now they have shown that main problem with DES is after 1 year, still the plaque is as vulnerable as before, and late stent thrombus is very common. The offshoot of Horizon study and new morphological studies have shown that DES is not to be recommended in acute MI as far as possible. More and more consensus is in favor of avoiding DES in